are now fully operational for today on this energetic life. Welcoming each of you today on this amazing day where life is occurring and we are enjoying this beautiful experience called life by creating better health, wealth of experience, and using the principles of gratitude every day as we navigate this wonderful life. And it really is just a beautiful journey, ideally. And we want to be able to feel good, feel our best, look our best, so we can really just live this amazing life. And I'm looking around for a tiny bit of wisdom to start our day today. And I have Daisy on the call again today. And Daisy, good morning. How are you today?
Oh, good morning, Lisa. I'm doing great. Just getting back into town, settling back in the beautiful Leadville up here.
Very good.
How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. I'm excited for our call and the information that we're going to share today. And let's start with a little wisdom. And I'm reading from the book of Tao. And I'm just going to read tenet number 62. And it says, Tao is at the source of everything. Treasure for the good, refuge for the bad. Fine words can be sold. Fine deeds can be but a show. Why then reject the bad? Therefore, at the crowning of the emperor, or at the appointment of the 3 ministers, rather than present gifts of jade and horses, present the gift of Tao. Why did the ancients value Tao so? Did they not say the seeker shall find it? The sinner shall find it and be forgiven. So is it the treasure of the world. I like that. I like that. Let's go. Daisy, have you ever read any of the Tao? Are you familiar with the I Ching, the book of Tao?
I am not. Actually, no.
That
was beautiful. What is it? What is Tao exactly?
Well, it is really one of the keys to the mastery of life. And it is a whole practice and a whole religion. And I found my little book of Tao almost 30 years ago at a bookstore, and I paid $1 for it. And if you could see it now, you could see it's all taped and worn. And it was funny because I used to take this on every plane whenever I would travel, just in case I wanted to be reading the book of Tao.
Oh, that's amazing. Is it similar to Tao?
It is the same. It's T-A-O is the correct spelling. Pronunciation, as I have learned it, is to pronounce it as if it were D-A-O. Wow. Right.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I am familiar with it, but
very cool. Very great. Yeah, it's a wonderful tenets for living.
What religion is it? Is it the Hindu religion?
Well, actually, it's the Taoist sect of Buddhism.
Yeah. They're
their own. It may not, I do believe it is a form of Buddhism, but they are the Taoists. Yeah. Yep. Very good, very good. So I'm going to jump into content here, and we will be chatting with Daisy as we're going along, because she and I have been talking about a few different things. I hope you were all on for the call last week where we talked about A is for antioxidants. And we talked about the importance of the auric value, or how, what a high quality calorie can be based upon this scale of measurement, which measures the oxygenation rate and of our fruits, of our foods, all foods. And we talked about like some of the highest ones would be greens. Greens are a super wonderful way to be high in antioxidants. And we didn't really touch on the supplementation aspect as much. That should be coming in the newsletter, but high grade vitamin C is always wonderful. And then we talked also about cayenne pepper, our friend cayenne pepper, as taught to us by Dr. John Christopher in his wonderful herbology classes that that the Dr. John Christopher Society, I don't know if that's what it's called, but he does still have a company that represents his work and the importance of using cayenne pepper, anti-inflammatory, and if we are less than inflamed, we're not creating so many of those bad free radicals that cause aging, rapid aging. And so much of our food today is just so toxic, so we really want to do the best of our ability to create good health by choosing high quality food, high quality supplementation. And what a blessing that is for our beautiful body. So the content for today, if I'm following in that format right there, Daisy, I would jump right into, how about B is for bacteria and the importance of bacteria on the body. And reminding us that the body is not just this own physicality that we carry around in this lifetime that houses our inner essence. But, you know, I'm always looking at it in the correlation between the body that we have and the planet on which we are living, specifically our immediate surroundings. And I wonder what kind of bacteria could be lurking out there, but we're very, very fearful of bacteria. We're just a little too sanitary. And what has happened is that the bad bacteria, the unfriendly bacteria, begins to take over. And the friendly bacteria, or the good bacteria, withers and dies. Let's go back to Daisy here. I know Daisy was traveling. Daisy, how is it traveling out there with a lot of this bacteria running around?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I definitely wasn't raised super strict on, you know, washing my hands constantly. And I think a lot of people in our society, mainly with children, are, and that's a big fear. But when I travel, I absolutely feel like I need to constantly be washing my hands, and you're on a plane in a confined space. So, you know, it is interesting how, you know, that works, and the difference between good and bad bacteria, and just knowing what the difference is. Because I don't know much about the difference between the good and the bad.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. For where we are right now, what has happened is we have become so sanitary, and the bad bugs or the unfriendly gets out of control. It's not that we haven't been already exposed to the majority of these bacteria, but what we used to have was what was called a very healthy immune system that was always in balance or always seeking balance, and we knew the steps to create more buoyant bacteria within the body, the gut, so that when we were dealing with those external microbes, we had a chance, a fighting chance against those. And that the immune system, again, never forgets. It is so brilliantly designed that once, for all of the eons, and this is why it was so important for mothers to sometimes have exposure to as many viruses, bacteria, because the baby would carry that immunity into this world, and then we would fill that baby up with wonderful bacteria creating microbes in the gut, because in the gut we want to have an abundance of the good flora, the good guys, the good bacteria, and not so much of the bad bacteria that then takes over if we haven't fully supported our own bacteria experience. So good versus bad would be more so keeping our own personal bacteria, the good guys, fed, well fed, and turning away from the things that kill off that bacteria. One of the biggest things would be stress. I mean, it seems unimaginable, but Daisy, what would you think about stress on as an impactor of bacteria, of our good bacteria?
Oh, yeah, I mean, on a personal level, stress has affected me a lot in my gut. So that's really interesting that you said that. And now I'm a lot better, but growing up and different triggers that I've had in life that have been stress related, I've kind of stored in my gut. And I do a lot of probiotics and prebiotics now, like kombucha and yogurt and all of that, which I know help. But that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Sure. And the majority of people don't know that stress impacts the gut in a very detrimental way. And first, and then those begin to die off. So exactly what you're doing and continue to do is to keep loading up with the wonderful bacterias that you mentioned. For sure, the kombucha, which is a medicinal mushroom that is fermented. We used to eat so many fermented foods. So by the time our food got to our mouth, the fermentation with the food was filled with good bacteria. We would take that in and it would help us, aid us in the digestion process in our body. Go ahead.
Can you rebuild good bacteria like constantly? Because your body naturally produces it, but by taking but depending on the person, it's obviously, I'm assuming it's different. So can you rebuild a lot of good bacteria in your body constantly to the level where you wouldn't need to take supplements or drink kombucha or something?
Well, I would say in a perfect world, certainly, but we are far from that. And the body can always regenerate up to a certain point. But if it's too devastated, then the permeability begins to happen. So the gut begins to create little tiny holes, and proteins can get through those little tiny holes, and the bacteria doesn't have any place to land, the good bacteria. And so that becomes some of these chronic conditions, these malaise that we're always talking about, right? Of body, of mind, of spirit, because we're not processing the food. First of all, is not good for us. We don't have the bacteria in our gut to process it because we continually are taking things that dampen our natural digestive juices. And with the stress, we know that it devastates the lining of the tummy. And that's why we always feel weird in our gut when something that is incongruent for us occurs, or something that makes us nervous. We do feel that, butterflies in the tummy, good or bad, right? And so that if people are continually living in a stressed situation, really the gut is bombarded. And then part of the aging process, we lose our bacteria. So could you live without supplementation of bacteria? Possibly, but you would have to have a pristine diet filled with fermented foods so that we could continually be helping out our bacteria. Does that answer the question in a really long way?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yes, thank you.
Super, super. And we're going to go more into bacteria a little bit further, and I can, at some point, B is for bacteria. We're always talking about correcting that. And one of the other things that we need to do, and you mentioned it when you said how you do it, the fermented foods are actually what are called prebiotics. And they give the body or the belly, the bacteria, a place to land. So you take your prebiotic, and I like things like potato starch for one, try and get a high quality potato starch, because it kind of like lays down this nice little cushy pad for the bacteria to land on. And it also promotes deep sleep. If we're not sleeping, we are out of balance. You think about, the whole leptin response when we're sleepless, which causes us to like have big sugar cravings, but that's another class. The potato starch can help with sleep, which keeps us calm, which keeps us in the restorative mode. And, I love taking flaxseed, hemp seed, chia seed. Daisy, do you take any of those wonderful seeds? Flaxseed, hemp seed, chia?
Yeah, I actually did this morning. I take chia, I do chia, I do cacao, which is an awesome antioxidant.
Super.
And hemp and flax. So, and also things with, so what's the difference between prebiotics and probiotics?
Pre is before life. So it is the little colonies that kind of go in and anchor down, and then they put out their little feelers for the probiotics, which is for life, and they start grabbing them. If we don't have anything to grab those probiotics and anchor them down, then they literally are flushed and they become really weak. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I knew that they were both really important in our diet, but I wasn't sure exactly what the difference was.
Why did you know that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. I knew that because of my dog. He was having stomach issues, and his vet recommended that he take prebiotics.
Nice.
Too, in relation to the probiotics. So.
Nice.
But I see it a lot in a lot of foods when I go to the grocery store, and drinks and fermented stuff too, and they say pre and probiotics in it, and so I think that's interesting.
Very good, very good. Because it's not common wisdom anymore, and like I said, we used to do it naturally because we fermented foods. And I think we touched briefly upon this because I've been off grains for more than a year now. And occasionally I dabble and I see how I feel, and I try to make sure it's a high quality grain, but no wheat for almost 3 years now. But I digress. What I learned in my wonderful cookbook that I love so much, Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon, is that we used to soak our grains. We used to soak them for 3 to 5 days, and that started the digestion process so that we were not so, because the digestion of grains is so hard on us, and that is one of the reasons why the fermenting of food ahead of time helps aid the digestion process. And then also taking your digestive enzymes. I always like a little papaya. You can buy papaya enzymes. You can take pancreatin. One of the really amazing things I recently heard about taking pancreatin, which is the pancreatin is one of the digestive enzymes of the pancreas. It's the actual raw gland of the pancreas. It has the amylase, the protease, and the lipase in it, aids digestion. But if it's not digesting, I just heard that pancreatin taken orally helps our natural killer cells go after the bad things, like the bugs, the viruses, that are in our system. And so that's a really kind of an amazing thing that you can supplement yourself, especially after a certain age, with the digestive enzymes. And the enzymes you can kind of come and go with. So, I usually have a bottle of papaya enzyme around. I continually am taking the pancreatin as well. Go ahead, Daisy.
I've heard too, when you said soaking, like when you soak your nuts, and you absorb more nutrients after soaking them, and it's easier for your body to break down those enzymes.
You are correct.
Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah.
Soaking our nuts and our grains improves what's called, B is for bioavailability. So yeah, that's very true. And it was just the way that we had always done things, because we were so much more connected to our food. And, that is something we've become very disconnected from our food. And quite frankly, we just have been stuffing ourselves with nothing of value for probably 50 years.
Wow. It's scary.
Yeah. It is scary. Yeah. It is scary. But me, the eternal optimist, it certainly is something that is within our power. Hippocrates said, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." And when we live our life with that as our mantra for real health, we don't have to worry about the doctor unless we're broken or bleeding. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, nothing. That was beautiful. Is that one of a prayer that you would say with food?
Right. That is exactly correct. The disconnect, we used to do a lot more praying in our culture, whether you call it prayer or communion or meditation or intention. It raises the frequency of the food. So even if we were possibly having something that might not have been the greatest for us, when we offer blessings, it is upgraded. What do you think of that?
I think I want to live by that.
Good. And, this is something that we don't have to make a big deal about it. And I'm putting this out today because Daisy and I are talking about the Aging Gratefully series that is coming up, that is part of my master's program and the writing of my thesis. And I'm looking for 21 people to come along for 21 days. And we are going to be talking a little bit every day about the process of gratitude. What do you think of that, Daisy?
Oh, I think that's great. 21 people for 21 days, and we will practice this together.
We will. Yeah. Together and apart. If everybody wants to commit to the 21 days, that's fantastic. And we're just asking for 7 to 15 minutes a day for yourself to just think about the blessings, the plenitudes that you have in your life, and to feel the gratitude. We're getting into the feeling practice. Go ahead, Daisy.
And what does the 21 days represent?
Well, in life, we really, if you ever everybody wants to get rid of bad habits. What we want to do is create a good habit, and it takes about 21 days.
All right.
That kind of gets us the muscle memory, the thought processes, the intention, the correction of the monkey mind to focus ideally on what we are intending, which is a gratitude practice every day, because gratitude raises our latitude.
What's the best way that you create a new habit or drop a bad one?
Well, we want to move towards not thinking about what we don't want. Like, I don't want to X, Y, or Z. And we move towards what I really want is ABC. And so when we practice ABC every day for 21 days, we're creating that physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, cosmic connection. And the way that we expand that connection is through our communion practice, our meditation practice, where we are within our bodyscape and really just focusing on all the blessings in our life. Even if it's only this breath in this body, that is something to be grateful for.
Definitely.
Nice. Well, we're going to wind this one down. I want to give everybody a gentle reminder about the class that is upcoming and how you can participate in it. And we'll be giving you more information, and it'll be coming in the newsletter that hopefully we are going to be sending out within the next few days. We want to put together this little video and audio package just for you and invite you to come along as we are talking about the importance of a gratitude practice. Those of you who were with me for Simplicity of Spirituality, you know that it is the first pillar in our spiritual house. After our breathwork practice, we spark the divine and we move into thank you. All is well. I want to thank you for your time today. I know you're busy, and I'll be looking forward to chatting with you again very soon. Thanks for being here today, Daisy. I hope you have a good day.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited for next week, and I'm excited for the 21 Days of Gratitude. I look forward to that. It'll be awesome.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Be safe. Thank you.